Hey folks, so this is another video based on using Blender for projection mapping. So I've been interested in this idea for a little while. Pardon me, I'm just getting ready for work at the same time. Um, the idea is that projection mapping should, I'm trying to figure out a way to cut the cost, the barrier for cost on projection mapping by using Blender to create the projection mapping. So, kind of finding a way to get people a way to get have a way for people to get their feet wet in the projection mapping world. So I've been using projection mapping for a good while now. I've used many different programs, including HeavyM, Resolume, the whole gamut. I've touched a little bit in MadMapper, but I have some experience in each one individually. Like HeavyM was probably my biggest projection mapping software that I used a great deal to do all kinds of different crazy things. You can look at my channels on YouTube, on TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, the whole nine yards. All the social medias, you can find all of my projection mapping. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to find a way that I could create something within Blender, because Blender is free, and because it's not to say that you couldn't use another program, but this just basically makes it so that people who are interested in it, maybe we could convince others to do projection mapping and to get them, included into that. So, long story short, there's some good news. The good news is it can work, of course. As we all know, geometry nodes have become a very big thing in Blender. There's lots of different add-ons that you can add on. For instance, there's the Add Roots program for MIDI controllers. There's the Spout engine that can be added into Blender so that you can export it or port it, if you will, to other programs such as Resolume or such as HeavyM. And there's a lot of great and wonderful things with Blender that you could do. The disadvantage to this is that there is a bit of a learning curve here. I've set this particular glowing, arch, as I'm calling it, just as a test to see how many things can I fiddle with, how can I move this, how can I produce something that's very similar in projection mapping in real time. So this arch is a perfect example. I have a few attributes over here on the right hand side that I've set up. So I have the scale arch to scale the size, not necessarily the arch itself, but the top portion by basically moving these sections down here at the bottom, right? So I have that option. I also have the option to extrude. It's not going to work because I need to use my slider to extrude the shape, right? So I can extrude the shape, and then I can also expand or change the scale arch, right? So these are smaller values that are changed within the computer, right? Within geometry nodes. So I have this whole pile of stuff. And then I also have a color control now. So I have the ability to change the colors of the glows, right? I can even take out the glow if I don't want it, or add it in. I can change the glow size. There are some disadvantages to this. One of them is you have to kind of understand how geometry nodes work, or be able to do a great deal of web searching, web surfing to look for answers. Sometimes it's easy to do. Sometimes it's, a little bit more complicated. Like, for instance, I found this recipe to do outlining, and then I found this more advanced version of the outlining, and both have their pluses and minuses. I really like how this one came out, so that's where I'm at the moment. Overall, I think this one works best. However, that's the thing. It's a lot of this is tinkering and just time and experimentation. I would say if you're interested in this kind of thing and you really want to, find out from me, you're welcome to give me, contact me. I'm very interested in these kinds of things. But in any case, there are ways that you can find out more information about Blender and how Blender works. I strongly suggest, if you're interested in these kinds of things, Ducky3D is a very good person to look for on YouTube. Arendelle is amazing. He does a great deal of geometry nodes, and he's very thorough. I really enjoy his videos as well. All the CG Cookie people are amazing, but there's plenty of people on YouTube and plenty of people out there who are willing to help out with how geometry nodes works. So this is the example. So like for instance, we were talking about add roots, right? Add roots is a MIDI controller option to control the use as controls within Blender, right? So right now I have a slider. It's just the singular slider right at this moment that's set up here in Add Roots. Add Roots is basically you have your MIDI controller. Hang on just 1 second. Add config, right? And here's my MIDI controller set up here at the top. I'm using a MIDI Mix 2, which is an Akai mixer. But it doesn't have to be that. It could be, I have Launchpad. I've used Launchpad before. I have different sliders and MIDI controllers. And you can also use OSC if you understand how OSC works. I also have on my iPad, I have an old iPad that still, you know, does exactly what I need it to do. I have Touch OSC. And I can connect Touch OSC. I can configure the entire window as to my liking, and then I can control different various attributes within Blender, right? So that is one of the benefits of this. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, comments, complaints, concerns, you want to talk about this, you want to figure out how this works, give me a holler. You can find me on all social media platforms under Jacob Misick. You can also email me at jacobmisick@gmail.com. That's pretty much the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.